Good evening everyone, this is Linda from Inspired Art Journaling. Tonight I'm going to be showing you through a mind process that I go through. I've had a few people asking me about, for the ATCs that we have every month, trying to get some clarification on what the theme might represent. Now with ATCs, there is no particular thing, like what I interpret the theme to be could be quite different to someone else. But I thought, I know it can be a little bit abstract for some people, and I'm hoping that I can show you something tonight that is a process that I go through. So initially, like we're talking about the ATCs there, but this can be applied across everything, even art journal pages. So, I've done the ATCs for Remember, the theme for April, but tonight I'm going to show you how I can also incorporate that Remember theme into doing a journal page that is meaningful for me. And so I just wanted you to see the process that I go through. So let's get started. So these are some of the products that I'll be using. A stencil from Vicky Booten, stamp from Tracy Evans, and just a cutout, and I'll explain what the significance of that cutout later. Lindy's sprays, magical sprays, Apothecary Azure I'm going to be using, Wowzers White, and I'll also be using some Liquitex ink as well. So I'll just move these out the way and we'll get started. I'll just put those up there because I'll be using them, and we'll get... Alright, so for this, I'll kind of be working a little bit backwards tonight, but the idea is what I'm going to do is, from my junkie journal that I do, I've just taken a page that has got, well, I won't say a clean page because it's got some bits on it, but I'm not actually bothering about that because that colour there goes quite nicely with the picture. So I am going to obviously put a little bit of colour on here. There will be a lot of white space, but I'm just not worrying about that because to me it just all adds to the interest of it. But the first thing that I will do though is the process that I'm going to do is a Lindy's background. So we all know what the Lindy's is like. It takes a while to dry. So I'm just going to go straight in and do this background, put it behind me to let it dry off on its own, and then I'll go through that thought process that I was talking about before. So in order to do that, now I'm intending for this to be a very easy process tonight. Probably the most intense part of it will be the me showing you the mind dump that I'm going to do, but it's not a difficult thing. It's something you can just think about. You may choose to use it or you may not. So I'm putting it sideways because it just fits in my tray there better. So I'm going to be using this stencil, and I'm just going to be using that spray and to do the stenciling like I've done many times before. So nothing terribly new tonight as far as that kind of thing goes, but I might just get some more paper out just in case. Good shake. So this is from the Magicals Apothecary. Oh, wished I could tell you. I should have looked up. It's one of the sets. I can't remember which one it is, but so I'm just going to really lay down, and I'm not really wanting a really heavy. Now I'm going to put that down there only because I've got a page there. So which way is the right? Okay, so that's the right way up. So I'm just going to turn that over and just tap it down. Oop. Okay, tap it a bit more. I'm not worried about how good the pattern is coming out. I can see a few little hearts in there, and that's okay. That will do me. And look, honestly, that is all I want to do with that. So just put that there to dry off. So I'm going to now put this out the back behind me to dry off, and we'll just let that go. Grab a hand towel just to wipe off my hands a little bit. So, like I said, this month's theme in the ATCs is remember. And that could mean a lot of different things. Let me just grab a pen here that I can use. That's going to be quite substantial. This will do. Okay, so what I like to do this often, but a lot of the time I do it in my head. But obviously I'm doing a brain dump tonight, and I've got a pen that doesn't work, but looks like it just needs a bit of... So, mind mapping. This is a good way to get some thoughts down onto your onto the the page. And the very first thing I would do is, like, when we have like these themes where it's just a focus word, like we've had flow, we've had I can't remember what all the other ones were, joy, all that kind of thing. So the very first thing I would do if I was sort of stumped for it, the very first thing I would do is look up the dictionary of what that word means. Let me just get out of here, my phone. Let's have a look. I'm going to just type into my phone, remember definition. And that's a really, really, really good way to just get started. Because, I mean, we all know what remember is, but sometimes when you see it written down, it just starts thinking, you start thinking about things. In the dictionary, have in or be able to bring to one's mind an awareness of someone or something from the past. Okay, so we all, again, when I think of remember, I also think of the word memory. So I'll write that down. Okay, so memory. And all your scrapbookers out there, that's the premise behind everything that you do, is you are creating memories by making these wonderful pages that highlight the photos that you put on them. So for me, now I know in this particular instance, April for me is always a month of remembrance. Because of, I don't know, my age or whatever, and because I guess I've been in schools for many years, that we always remember the Anzacs and things, that all of that that goes with it. And so for me, April does mean remembrance and in memory. So for me, April is Anzacs. Okay. And so then, that also means lest we forget. We will remember. Now, I might not use all of these things, but I'm just doing what they call a brain dump. Okay, so I'm just doing a brain dump on a piece of paper. And so, so then, okay, so from this, what do we associate with Anzac? Poppies. Okay. Now, also too, I don't know if you all know this, but the correlation between memory and Anzacs is rosemary. Now, the herb rosemary. Now, on the Anzacs, and in November too, for Remembrance Day, is mostly when you sort of see it. Everyone wears a sprig of rosemary on their lapel, because rosemary is good for your memory. Eating rosemary enhances your memory, and therefore, it goes on from there to be, remembering things that happened in the past. So there's a couple of things. So usually for me, I'm always doing something with poppies, and in this case, I've done something with rosemary too. So normally I don't normally show people the ATCs, you know, we like it to be a big surprise. But because of what I'm doing here, I'm going to show you what I've done for the two groups for Remember this time. Now, keeping in mind, my focus on this time was just poppies and rosemary. And so for one group, I've got here, I'll bring it up to the camera, I suppose. I've got a girl there who's got poppies as a hat, and there's, you know, poppies all around the place. So that's the significance for me. And also on the side here, I've written in kind of like a semic writing, lest we forget. And that's all there is in reference to the Anzacs, but it's important for me. But for someone else who's just looking at it, might not be able to read what that says, but they're just looking at it for what it is. But in my mind, it's my way of remembering the Anzacs. Then the other one that I did, the second group that I was in, is rosemary. So what I did with this one, again, I found some poppies and just printed them out. But in the back here, this is a tag, a stamp tag that I had, and it's about rosemary, and it's about the herb rosemary and all of the different bits about it. So I use that because to me rosemary signifies memory, and for me the remembering the Anzacs through the poppies and all that sort of thing. So that's where that was for me. However, for you, you may want to do something different. Now, and this is what's leading to tonight's little workshop, is I'm going to sort of take that, and on this side, I'm going to work in wide what the significance of those flowers are, etc., etc. So, remembering memory, and so for me, remembering my long lost mother, my mum died many years ago, but a memory of her that I always remember is freesias, the flower, because my mother loved freesias. She had them. We had this huge, great big ponciana tree in our front yard, and all around the bottom of it she would have freesias growing, and they were the most beautiful scent. And even today, you know, every time I smell a freesia, it reminds me of my mother. So this is okay. So then that strikes a memory in with me for, well, put mother, okay? And from that, it's freesias. And so that to me is remembering, focusing with something with freesias is my way of remembering my mother. So, you know, is how that kind of thing eventuates. Sorry. So when what I guess I'm trying to say is, when you're doing these things, write the word down if you wish, or just start brainstorming different words or different things that make you remember. Okay, so you know, it could be your father, it could be something that you know, your wedding day, or the birth of a child, or something like that. So whatever it means to you. So like for instance, that freesias means nothing else to anyone else, but to me it means a hell of a lot. And so for tonight I want to do this remembrance for my mother by using these freesia flowers in this gorgeous bowl. And that is how I would go about it. I could have done an ATC with freesias on it, and it it wouldn't mean anything else to anyone. That someone would just think, oh, beautiful little flowers on a ATC. But for me, it conjures up beautiful memories and things to remember. So that's just a way that you can go about it, and you could do that with any of the words that we have each month. And what I'm showing you tonight, just to let you in on a bit of a secret, that tonight might have some inkling on next month's. So you might want to just keep this in mind for next month. I'm not going to say too much more than that, but this might help you out with that again. So I guess what I would also like to ask too is if you find this kind of thing helpful, would you like me to add a little bit of an explanation? The thing is I want people to use their own imagination. So I don't want to put too much thought into your head, because, you know, but I know that some people need more guidance than others, and some people can just grab it and run away with it, and you know, it becomes so easy for them. Whereas, you know, and if you would like me to do something more like that each month when we do the ATCs, just let me know, and if you put a comment on this video, and you know, and I'll see what I can do. I don't want to put you into too much of a situation where you have to create a specific thing. That's what the other theme is. You know, am I bugging you? So it's all about insects. That is something. This is something a bit different, where it's a bit generic, and you know, I want you to sort of think about how that word impacts on you. So anyway, we're digressing there a little bit. To save time, I did cut these out. Now, what it was is this. I had two of these printed out onto paper on card, and on one of them, so I've cut the whole thing out, and for the other one, I just cut out a few little flowers. So we're going to do a little bit of a paper tolly type thing where we just add that on top, sort of thing, just to give it a little bit of depth and interest. So I've cut those out aside. Now I'll go back to grabbing my page at the back here that hopefully has dried enough for at least me to put the dryer onto it. And I chose this particular paper because it's kind of like watercolor paper. So I'll just dry this off a bit. It's almost dry, not quite. Okay, that's certainly dry enough for me to continue. That out the back. Alright, so we've got this, and I might put a few little splatters of something on later on. So like I said before, I'm not going to do an awful lot to this page as far as, you know, putting lots of bits and pieces. Of course I'll do something, I'll put a few little splatters and stamps and stuff like that. What I am going to do is, with this stamp here that I had before, I'm going to do some embossing. I'll just take this back again. This on here, hopefully it's dried off a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of embossing, which is my want, as you know. And yeah, so obviously that's going to sit in the middle there somehow, and that I am going to do a couple of embossing bits. I'll just use that for now. Where is, I had a stamp. Got this block out, this will do. Hopefully it's big enough. Yeah, almost big enough. Okay, so stamp, embossing stamp here. Okay, and I'm not looking for terribly perfect images. I'm just going to put some images around there. I hope, not sure how wet this is. And it also depends on what's in, because it's very lumpy underneath, so the image is not going to come out terribly well. So I might just swap that out. Normally I wouldn't do all of this at the one time, but I am tonight. Whoops, that's not going to come out very well because it's very lumpy underneath. So I'll just see how I go with this one. So I think I might need some more ink on my pad. I'll have to buy some. Okay, so let's just see how we go. I'm using white, so I'll just spray that over there and just sort of see, because I'm really not sure how well. Oh yeah, there's a bit there, so I'm happy with that. It's just a hint. I just want a hint of the white on there. Yep. We'll dry that off and just see how it goes, to see if we need any more. Put the lid on that before I do some damage. Okay, there we go. Take a little while for this to warm up a bit before it starts changing. Starting to change now. Yes, I wanted quite a bit of white space on this tonight, which is why I've not put any undercoating on it. So it's come up quite nice. I love this stamp. It's the first time I've used it, but I keep seeing all the examples done with it, and it's just so nice. Just done it around the edges because the main image is going to go, it's kind of central, so I didn't bother about putting any in the center. Oh, just put it down, it's getting a bit hot. Okay. Okay, because that gets quite hot there, so I'm hoping you can sort of see just slight images there of the heart. Okay, so you know, I'm kind of hoping it's picked up the hearts from the background, but it's all very abstract. So I'm quite happy with that. What I've got there, I'll put this away, and beautiful stamp. I can see I'm going to use that a bit. There's other little tiddly bits with it too that would look great as well. But anyway, I've got another one of hers too, this one, but it's Mulva is the flower, and just didn't feel it was right to do it with the freesias. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, this is going to be an experiment, so let's hope it works out okay. What I might grab, I'm going to be doing a bit of spraying, so just in case I don't want water upsetting too much of everything else there, so we'll just sort of see how this goes. So I am going to just spray over the top of this page, and because the idea is just going to use a little bit A little bit of ink. Probably should have done it with a brush. I'm just using a phthalo green ink. It's a Liquitex one, so I'm just going to swish around. Just thought I'd try something a little bit different from using the Lindy's all the time. I saw someone do something similar to this. They didn't use Liquitex. I'm not quite sure what brand they have, but it wasn't ink. And I thought, oh yeah, okay, you pay a lot of money for these Liquitex inks, you might as well use them. So I'm just doing a little bit. I'm not quite sure if this is the right colour to use, but it's the only one that but I quite like the brightness of it. So let's see how it ends up. So I'm just spraying around a little bit. I don't want to do it too much because it'll take too long to dry, that kind of thing. And by just spraying it a little bit more, it just helps to lessen that impact of that colour. But I quite like it as a colour. Let me just lift that up to the camera a little bit, see if you can sort of see. So I mean, I probably could put more in there. Not that you're going to see much of it, because I like the fact that some of that blue just peeking through a little bit there. And anyway, that looks great. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just going to dry that off a little bit. So glad you can make yourself a cup of tea while you're waiting. Just dabbing that off, it just takes off that excess, so it just means it's quicker for me to dry. Hope it hasn't impacted too much on what's behind there. So I felt the stamp come out quite well, considering that there's a lot of stuff going on the back there. I do have to be careful, because sometimes, you know, when you've got things on the back, it will impact, because I can see it buckling a little bit in some places. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. I shall move that out the way now. And I'll put this down here. So what I could do is, I'm just going to put that little bit of that colour on there. Grab this piece of paper here, because I've started doing this. I hope it doesn't cover up you too much, because honestly it just sprays everywhere when you do. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Let's see. Probably won't do anything. I've just put out the tiniest little bit of Lindy's there, but it's probably not going to do very much at all. But that's okay. So we'll just dry that off again now. And honestly, this is really not going to take very long tonight. because the main purpose is I just really wanted to do a little bit of an explanation about how I think about focus words, and this will be a lovely page because it'll, again, like I say, will remind me of my mum, particularly with Mother's Day coming up next month. Okay, now okay, so I shall get the, just for simplicity, I shall get the, if I can find it, there it is. Gosh, that stamp needs cleaning. Oh dear. Okay, so I shall get my black ink pad somewhere. Honestly, my desk is atrocious at the moment. Is this top? The beginning of the month is always ATCs, and because I do so many, I just go from one to the next, so I'm not very good at cleaning my desk off in between. So I'm just using the obligatory spotty stamp, just a little bit. I'll put a bit in the middle, a bit on the edges there, because where there's nothing much I'll put a little bit. Okay, that'll do. Alright, I'll bring that up for you to have a look at. So I'm probably not going to do a lot more than that to the actual background of this. Yeah, I'll do some kind of bordering thing just to try and, even if I use the stamp pad, I will just distress that around the edges a little bit. But that's pretty much all I'm going to do with that. And I'll leave that there because I shall get my, where is it? There it is. Just change over to my used up. Okay, so I shall do that straight away here. So I'm just using the old stamp pad and that just to add little bit, so it's already taken away that paint that was on the edges there, and that's all I need to do for that. I like putting borders, this kind of a border on it, because it just contains all of the information. Just got to keep making sure I'm facing the right way too. Just keeps all the information inside the, oh, keep that out for a minute. So let me just think. So yeah, I'm just going to start on this for a minute. So what I will do is I will very lightly just go around the edges. I'm not going to get it all because, because I've fussy cut so intricately. Some of you may not, you might just go around the edges and stuff like that when you do these sorts of things. But I like to try. Yes, it gets a bit messy on the picture, but I don't know, just to me it just adds some depth to it. So it is something that I like to do. And because when it sits down on there, it just adds a little bit of, so that's sitting on there quite nicely. And yeah, I like that. Just wondering, I can't help myself. I know, sorry, I've got to do this. I'm going to put some white splatters on as well. Just because, I don't know, I just have to. Who knows why I do any of these things. Okay, I'll put this up here again. Oops. I just think the white splatters helps too the stamping, the embossing that's underneath. I just feel it just links it to each other. You've got to make sure there's a little bit of water in there, so that that links in between there as well. Just pushes it all back a little bit, and so I'm happy with that. Excuse me. Some quite big blobs there. I'm just tapping off a little bit, only because I wouldn't normally do it, but just for time I want to do that. Now I did get out, I got out a little bit of washi tape. Okay, so the washi tape, I'm just using this one only because I'm using this one because it's got messages of love and friendship all over it. What the purpose behind this is, I need something to embed my glass of flowers onto the page. So I'm going to put a couple of strips of washi tape on here. And what I like to do to make it a little bit more organic, I suppose, is I put that there. So I've just ripped off the edge, so now I've got that lovely creasy edge there. Don't need any more than that. What's it look like on the camera? Oh, I will, only because I just can't help myself. Nice little streaky bit there. I like to do that, it just makes it look a little bit more organic. And whoops, that's no good. I will go over this with a bit of matte medium, just to make sure it stays there. I can find it. Matte medium. Particularly because I screwed that one, squished all that one up, so it's going to need a little bit of extra love on it. So just help to keep it stay put. Okay. Oh. What I'm going to do is, I've just got one of my Intense pens, only because it's here, it's not necessarily the right colour. No, not that one. I'm just going to grunge up this tape a little bit. This is, oh no, that's permanent. Oh, where is it? Yeah. So this one's called Sea Blue, and also just going to add a little bit of the black here as well, because I just want a little bit of shadowing going on there. So I'm just going to add a bit of water and just sort of see how we There we go with it. I'll add some more black with it too. I just sort of felt it kind of got lost a little bit in there. You just have to be careful when you do it onto wet, the pencil onto the wet, it comes out very strong. You don't need much water. So I'm just activating that. It's like a Stabilo, so you can use your Stabilo. It's just permanent when it dries. It's permanent. A straight edge there, so I'm just going to put a bit of black over that. Okay, so we've made it a little bit darker. Okay. Try that. Ow. Off a bit. Okay. Now I will, I'll leave that till after. Okay, so I will place that onto there. Now before we do, I'm going to grab my little bits here. So you can cut, you know, if you do this kind of thing, you can cut as many extra bits as you like. I don't even know if I'll use all of these, but I just wanted to add a little bit of depth to the page. Originally I decided that I just stuck that there for now, but I do actually want to chop that off. Just left it on there so I wouldn't lose it. And then I probably could, I'll see how I go, I might end up chopping that off a bit too. So I'm not doing too much on here. I don't even know what this little bit is. I don't know if it's chocolate or something on the bottom there. Anyway, that's okay. Alright, so I've got a few little pieces there that I will use some of my little dots on to, so that one belongs there. So I'm just going to add a dot behind him. Just place it over the top. I may end up outlining that a bit later. So just placing it over exactly where it's meant to go there. This one, dot here, may have to cut this in half. Oh no, might be alright, I'll just leave it towards the edge there a bit. Right, so I have to chop a little bit of the edge off there. Where does that belong? Down here. Come on. That one. That belongs there. I mean, you're probably not going to notice it too much, but when I'm doing it, so that belongs there like that. So that's why it's a big long one, because that stem is going into the bars. So put that there. Oops. I'll leave that on there. Just going to chop this one in half. Put that on the back of that one. On the back of there. Alright, so that belongs onto there. whatever that is, I don't know. I don't know if it's meant to be a lolly or something, chocolate. Now that stem I will glue down eventually. At the moment I'm just trying to get this all in the right spot. Get my glossy accents out because I'm going to use that. So I'm going to also go over those flowers with some glossy accent. So first of all I'll just put a little dot there just to actually I probably should put this on here first. Oop. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there like that. This is kind of formulating like a little tablecloth or something. I think I might, no I won't. I'll just grab my collage glue. I love my collage glue. It sticks nice and quickly. Ooh. Just got to try. It does want to come out a little bit though. That's the only problem. It likes to spit out at me. Of course, I've got that many little nooks and crannies on this thing. Ah! Don't stick, don't stick. A little bottle, it's got a terribly big nose tip. Just want to make sure all those little bits at the end have at least got a little bit of glue, and I've got to be quick because it sets very quickly. So I'm going to use some glossy accents, definitely on the, it's a bit hard because it's so bumpy underneath. The layers underneath are so bumpy. I'm going to use the glossy accents on the glass jar, the vase, whatever you want to call it. Just make sure that's all glued. So, all I've got now is the words to put on. Remembering Mother. It's a little bit formal, but that is what I used to call, I often used to call Mum Mother, Mother dear. Remembering Mother. Okay, I might cut that right down. Get off there. Okay, so I'll grab my pen. So I'm just going to do a couple little lines just inside that border, because it is a big border, but I just wanted it to stand out a little bit. A couple of soap on in the camera there, sorry. Okay, and I might just do that. There we go, so that makes that stand out a bit more. And grab, where is it? Here it is, big wheel. remembering a mother. So I'll put that down there like that. There's remembering, here it is. So we'll just do a bit of a border around there too. I'll do a little bit of the glossy accents now, but I'll probably do a lot more off camera. But I'll at least show you some of what I'm going to be doing. But I definitely want to show off the glass on the vase. And hopefully this is just the right size. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, almost cut it too big, good boy. That up in the corner, like that. Now what I will do before I do any of that is grab some white again. And I'm just going to put some little bit of sprinkling on the flowers. Okay, dry that off. So I'll just dry that off so I can show you on the glass that I'll put some glossy accents. And I might put a few little glossy accents on some of the little bulbs as well. Okay, now oops, that's just telling me my phone is about to die. So I've just put a couple little lines on there. I won't put too much because glossy accents might shift it a bit. Okay, so with the glossy accents, just going to start just blocking that in because I really want that glass to stand out. So I rub it all over. It looks cloudy now, but it will, when it's dry, it'll be crystal clear. And quite often I'll go over it a second time too, so it just depends. Hopefully if there's no movement, it will be okay. But if there's been some movement or whatever, it doesn't look good, I will add some more tonight. Yeah, so I will probably add a little bit light to some of these bulbs here. Sorry, the light, it's hard for me to see. A couple of little bulbs there. Not every one of them. Just some of those coloured ones there. One down there. Colour that in, I think it's a bulb, I'm not quite sure what that is. But a little tiny one there. Okay, I might leave it at that. I think that seems like there's enough there that's coloured. So what I will do is, I have to be careful now because I've got that glossy accents on there. I do have to be careful about touching it. Where's my little black pen? I do want to just make sure there is a border, some shadowing around the bottom of this. I usually just put a little bit there. grab my pen. If you have too much water, it just gets a bit too blobby, and it will resist over the stamping that you've done there. So you can just swish it away, wipe it with your finger if you feel like it's too much. Just be careful around where the, take that up around there and bring that down to the border. Looks like it's not necessarily floating anywhere. Okay, so we just add a little bit more of a shadow underneath, and that's okay. So I will probably do a little bit more outlining. I will obviously put a final photo up as well, and yeah, so you can sort of see. I may go outline some of those flowers. I'm not sure. I'll just sort of see, because I really need to let that dry to see what it looks like. I will do a border around the edge in pen, and yeah, so that's pretty much done. I'm quite happy with that. That's a lovely remembrance now for me for Mother's Day next month, and yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. So I really, the main purpose for tonight, as well as me doing a lovely page that means a lot to me, I was wanting to just introduce the mind dumping, brain dump. It's something I used to do a lot with kids in the classroom, just to start getting them to think about what they're learning about. It's the same thing here, you know, like it's just sometimes you don't always have to do it, but maybe a couple of times if you're stuck, look up the dictionary meaning about what the word is, even though we all know what the word remember is, but sometimes reading it in the dictionary might stimulate some thinking for you, and then start, you know, like remembering is a derivation of the word memory, and so it kind of all sort of stems from that, and that's kind of how you know, I approach these things, particularly when I've got a topic or something that I'm thinking, I'm just stuck for ideas. But anyway, I hope that it has been beneficial for you, and if you would like me to do a little bit more of that explanation kind of thing, but I don't want to influence people too much when, you know, with what they create. So, you know, I'm happy to give some information, but a lot of it needs to come from you as well, and that's where I want you to sort of, you know, really make it your own. But anyway, everyone, I'm hope you enjoyed watching me do that. Again, like I say, I'll put up some photos tomorrow of this when it's dry, because I really need to let that dry overnight now, and I'll do a little bit of tweaking as far as detailing goes, and I'll put the picture up for you to have a look at. So thank you all, and I hope you have a good evening, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Thanks. Bye guys. Bye bye.